Welcome to the core. So, a recent development has taken place in the Western Hemisphere. UNSC meeting has taken place, and it's on the request of Colombia. And there are many mixed reactions which are coming out of that meeting. There are nations who are supporting the US action on Venezuela. Let's take a pause in here again. I must not say a US action, it's basically a Donald Trump action in his own personal capacity. Because in the US, okay, if you are about to take on any nation or if you are about to take any action on a particular nation, UN Congress sessions need to be there, which and at that time when the attack on Venezuela happened, Congress session was not in place at that point of time. It was Saturday in US. So it was all a Donald Trump action on Venezuela in his own personal capacity that he ordered the Delta forces to attack on Venezuela. Now, UK come in support of the US and said that what US has done, Donald Trump has done right because Venezuela was like going out of range of US because there was complete influence of China and there was so much of poverty and terrorism, drugs in Venezuela. So we can say this might be the case, but not as much as extreme that it became the cause of an attack on some sovereign nation. Now, the nations who are not supporting and against the Donald Trump action on Venezuela are Bolivia, Argentina, Colombia, Chile, and Russia Federation, China, even India also condemned this action that it is against the sovereignty, and the UNSC itself condemning this action by the Donald Trump, saying that it is against the UN Charter, which talks about the sovereign equality, because sovereign equality is the charter of the UN, which says that you cannot attack on any sovereign nation. Every nation is sovereign. Every nation has a right to tackle their internal decisions, external decisions. You are no one to attack on a nation. So this sort of development which has taken place in the Western Hemisphere is basically has created some sort of insecurity among the mindset of the world leaders. If I say so, then the world leaders who are not a nuclear power, okay, in a recent statement Donald Trump has talked about capturing of the Greenland because of the growing influence of China and Russia over there, and he even said this that n- no force would be required to capture Greenland. So so by this thing we can consider now we are now not talking about the democracy, okay, a nation who is being considered as an epitome of a democracy are now resorted to all these illegal activities of capturing nations and threatening the nations, threatening the sovereignty of a nation only because the nations has a mineral resource, oil reserves, rare earth elements. So this the coming wars, coming attack on a nation, if happens so, might not be for a democracy, but more over there for a capturing of the oil reserves, mineral resource, and the rare earth elements. And if some nation has a complete monopoly over these resources, then that nation completely dominates the global value supply chain for these resources. As of now, only China dominates the 70 to 80% of the dominance on the rare earth elements. Now, moving towards Venezuela, Donald Trump was expecting to have establishing a puppet regime in there, who is legitimate or constitutional, whatsoever he's saying. But in a recent development, Venezuela Supreme Court has established an interim government in there, and the current president she has ordered the police to capture anyone who is coming in support of the U.S. attack on Venezuela and celebrating the abduction of Maduro and the First Lady. So this is what I can say. Donald Trump was not expecting, but yes, this has happened, and we will be noticing many new developments coming out of this Western Hemisphere. Until then, stay tuned and welcome to the core.